How you doing? Daniel Mosnet with Cowboy Charcoal, and we have some oysters for you today. We've got some beautiful, fresh, just harvested right out of the Pacific Northwest. We're going to show you what we do with these right on the grill, keeping them nice and cold. But first we've got to get our grill going. We've got some pre-lit here already in our chimney starter. And like we showed you before, all you need to do is just put your Cowboy wood wool chimney starter or fire starters right underneath and light them, or you can use a little bit of paper. You can use any type of fire starter that you want. Be careful, because this can be a little bit hot. And we're gonna pour that right over the top. And we want a ripping hot fire. All we're gonna do is we're gonna take these oysters, we're gonna put them right on the top of the fire. We're gonna make a little butter bath for them for when they open up. We're gonna pour some cheese right on the top so they get nice and cheesy. Then we're gonna put them on a plate. It's gonna be fantastic. So, and this is a Cowboy cauldron, which is an awesome fire pit, barbecue, a little bit one and all. You can do just about anything you want to cook on here, but today we're doing oysters. So first things first, we've got to get our oysters prepped and ready to go. And to prepare oysters, number one, you're going to want to make sure that you pick out oysters that don't have any smell. These don't smell at all. They smell a little bit like the ocean, but other than that, there's none of that fishy smell. There's nothing in there that you wouldn't want to eat. This tastes like it just came out of the ocean. So once you have these, you rinse them in water. You want to take a hard brush and just kind of go over them and make sure that there's no big crusties on the outside. We don't want anything that can fall into our oyster while we eat it. The key point with oysters is you want to make sure that they're nice and tight along the seam. As you're preparing your oysters and you're looking at every one before you put them on your grill, if you find any that are open, you find any where the seam here, where the two shells meet, are open or cracked at all, that means that oyster is bad and you do not want to use it. So it looks like each one of our oysters here are ready to go. Now, some people just crack them and eat them raw, just like that, which is really good. Just put a little bit of hot sauce. We're gonna use a little truck sauce like we've done in the past. We're gonna grill these. We're gonna let the juice inside kind of steam and open them up. We're gonna take them off. We're gonna crack them, take the half shell off. We'll put them back on the grill. We'll add our butter to them, let that kind of boil and get those flavors in there. We'll hit it with some cheese, and as soon as the cheese starts to melt, then we're done, then we're ready to eat. So our oysters are looking pretty good. Let's check on our fire. You want this to be pretty hot. You want this to be around 500, 600 degrees. With Cowboy Charcoal, you're gonna get that up to 700 degrees if you want to. So it's really gonna get going. In addition to our lump charcoal, I'm gonna add a little bit of mesquite because I like the flavor of mesquite when we're cooking open fire. Look at those beautiful chunks. Those are gonna crackle, they're gonna pop a little bit, and they're gonna really give you that flavor, that open wood, open flame, kind of Santa Maria style that you're really going for when you're cooking something like this. Mesquite is also really good for a lot of fresh meats, like tri-tip, things that you're cooking hot and fast. It's gonna have a little bit more of a heavy flavor, especially a little bit more of that wood flavor. So you gotta be prepared for that a little bit. We've talked about this a few times. I'm liking cooking with wood a lot more. I'm cooking with wood, this raw wood, just like we're doing here, chunks, even mini logs. Our Cowboy pit style cooking wood, you can pick that up at Lowe's. Just big chunks of wood that we'll be cooking over. So that's what we're cooking on today. You can see we've got a nice mix of lump charcoal, that's oak and hickory lump. We've got mesquite chunks inside. Those are gonna start catching fire. We'll close that top and let that get ready. Okay, now to the top of the fire, we're gonna wanna prepare our butter sauce, okay? Now the butter sauce, we've got some excellent hand-rolled sweet cream butter. Now you can use any butter that you want from this. The butter that comes in a regular package, regular box style package, you can pick that up. I like hand-rolled sweet cream butter. It is, the difference in flavor is awesome. And you can find this in most dairy cases, but this is what that hand-rolled butter is gonna look like. And this is our Sawatch butter, and we're gonna use pretty good amount. Add about that much butter, just a little bit. Add that right to the top. Now this is an excellent sauce. You can use this sauce you can put it on bread. If you don't use all of it, you can put it in the refrigerator and use it, the next day or two. Simple sauce to make. We're gonna add our butter. I've got some, you can use tarragon here, you can use thyme. I'm using thyme, so we're gonna add thyme to it. We're gonna let that melt right over the top of the fire. And as soon as that starts to melt, we're gonna add a little bit of our truff sauce right to it. All right, so that's gonna melt down. When that's done melting, we'll start to put our oysters right on the grill. Okay, so our butter's starting to melt pretty good. Now I like to start with a cold butter into the pan, because the longer the butter takes to melt, the more of that flavor we're gonna get infused with the time that I have in here now. So I'm gonna let that just take its time, pull it off the fire so it's not over direct heat. We don't want it to burn, right? If you burn, just like anything, if you burn the butter, you gotta throw it out, wash your pan, start over again. So we're just gonna let that go. You can really start to hear the crackling of the mesquite wood. That's gonna go all the way through. Okay, now that we've passed that darker colored smoke and we're into that clean, burning, lighter color smoke, we're gonna just put our oysters right on. We used to do these for a lot of events. And this is something where you can get one of those big trailer barbecues and really grill hundreds of these at a time. And they go fast. People love them. Absolutely. My dad loves these. It's maybe one of his favorites. I like to put them down where I'm not going to get a good chunk of the liquid inside to spill out as they start to open. So this here we've got about 15 oysters. Enough for a nice little appetizer for a few people. Our butter's just about all melted here. I'm trying to keep it off to the side so it's not, really gonna run into any problems with burning. I'm gonna add a little bit more of our hot sauce now. Now this is one of my specials. This is the truff sauce. Just black truffle infused hot sauce. So good, so good. Okay, where's my... So now as we're going, you're gonna see that these are opening at different rates, right? Invest in a little welding glove. They're a couple of bucks at any hardware store and it'll really save you a lot. So when these start opening up, I just pull them to the cooler side so we can start popping them open. These are still going. You can see them bubbling here. That means they're about done. And once we get them, we're just gonna take and pop them right open, okay? So these are starting to finish. These are starting to finish. Okay, so now as these open up, we're gonna just move them over to our resting tray so we can get them popped open. These ready? We're just gonna take them, we're gonna open them up. We're gonna try and leave them on the thick side down so we can really catch some of that butter sauce that we're gonna put in there. So slide them right back in. Okay, now that one's ready to go back on the grill. Just find your opening, pop it open. And you wanna make sure that you detach the oyster from the shell so it's easier to eat. We'll get through all of these. Oh, that's a nice one. That's one of the better ones right there. Okay, once you have your oysters prepared, you should end up with something like this. We'll take these then. They're all nice and shucked. We're gonna put them right back on the grill. Try to get them as close as you can together. Neat. Remember, you want to keep as much of that liquid in there as you can. You got butter in there, so it's gonna flare up a little bit on you. You just want to add a little bit to each one. Add your cheese right over the top. Parmesan, I use like a little 3-cheese blend. There you go. And as all of these start to melt, this is about what you're looking for right here. Just remove these with some tongs. You can see they're boiling in there, they're pretty hot. And this is gonna flare up on you. The main thing when you're dealing with fire like this, and you're dealing with live fire, and you're cooking over natural sources, and things start to flare up, the most important thing is don't panic. Don't get scared, don't jump, don't throw water. Just sit back. Typically, the fire will die down. Every fire needs oxygen. So if you can close the lid or smother it, that's the best way to handle any type of flare up or any type of fire. So here you have some fresh grilled oysters. It literally took just a few minutes. We took our oysters, we put them on the grill over a very hot fire. We added a little bit of mesquite chunks to the fire to get that crackle, to get that smoke, and to get that heat up just a little bit more. We let these cook, we popped them open, we added a little bit of butter, some truffle sauce, and some cheese right to the top. We letting all of that melt. We're letting it cool down just a little bit, and then we're gonna take a bite, because I love these things, I can't wait. Here we are, gonna kind of dip it back in that butter. Oh, those are outstanding. Those are outstanding. I could easily eat about 100 of these. Well, there you go. Some fresh grilled oysters over Cowboy Oak and Hickory lump charcoal. I'm Daniel Masnet. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.